Hello, iScout family. This is Dr. Drew, and I wanted to come on here and discuss our office tracking codes. As you can see the sheet in front of you, it looks overwhelming, but I promise you it is not overwhelming, and I'm going to go through and demystify this whole concept. Now, before we move forward, there's two things that we do need to agree on. Number one, data is important, and the information that we get from proper data is invaluable. There's no cost that we can attach to it. Number two, that we should be tracking these things already, and most of us are tracking these things already, from conversions in the practice through the new practice member life cycle, as we call it, into corrective care and into wellness care. These are all metrics and milestones that we need to and should be tracking so we can celebrate where it's needed and also train where we need improvement. At the same token, we should be tracking our discontinuations, because if people are discontinuing, we need to understand why, number one, and then more importantly, understand exactly what we can do to correct it. But if we're not tracking it, then we don't know what we don't know. Same thing with reactivations. Now, the other things that we have on here are video testimonials that have tracking codes and written testimonials. That's not something that you have to track, but it is something that the system has the ability to track, but it requires a tracking code. So if you don't want to track those, don't track them. If you do, we can get some value out of understanding who's getting video testimonials. Our team, we set goals associated with getting testimonials from practice members, because we know that third-party validation is hugely important, which means testimonials are hugely important. It's one thing for me as a doctor to say and tout results. It's a whole nother ball game for potential practice members to see other people who've gotten results and hear them sharing it. So that's something that we do track. And then also individual conversion rates for teams. So office rate conversions is one thing, but if you have team members that are helping out with regard to conversions, whether that be day one with x-rays, or whether that be corrective care or transition wellness care, if team members are participating in that process, we not only want to know the office conversion rate, but we also want to understand what the individual team member conversion rate. That can lead to being able to celebrate when a team member is doing very well, but also help us understand where we need to allot a little bit more training time if there's a particular team member that's struggling in a certain scenario. Or maybe as an office, we need to beef up our FAQ so that when a team member is hit with a question, they actually understand how to answer it, because you all as an office have discussed it and come up with standard verbiage for it. So let's go ahead and dive into the office tracking codes fundamentally. And what you see up here at the top, there's operational tracking codes, there's marketing tracking codes, and then there's follow-up tracking codes. So operational tracking codes are going to cover what we just kind of briefly discussed. It's all the conversions throughout the practice. Now, all of these are not 100% necessary all the time. What our tracking codes allow offices to do is, despite errors that are made, we can still use these tracking codes to clean up errors. But for example, the x-ray yes, the PDR yes, the care yes, these mimic things that should be done in the system. So for example, if you have a new practice member code, which most offices code that as an N, when they come into the office, when you schedule it, that's a visit. When they come to the office, and you physically arrive that person, it counts as an arrival, which means now the person showed up for the new patient appointment. In your data, if you do not arrive that visit, then they will not show up on your arrivals report. So for all the offices that are not arriving appointments, this is not necessarily going to create a problem with just an iScout. What happens is whenever you run an arrivals report now to see who's come to your practice, that data is missing, and you won't be able to tell who showed up. So that's not an iScout problem, that's a data problem. And some things we cannot clean up for you because we don't know if that person showed up or not unless you tell us. So you only need to use that new patient yes code if you have forgotten or have a practice of not actually arriving the code that you've assigned for new practice members. If you're doing that properly, guess what? You do not need to use NPS. Now, if we go through this side of this thing here, These are all associated, like I said, with the conversion cycles. Now, they are in the transaction list with your CPT codes, so it's a very simple process. For example, when you code your x-ray, let's just say it's a 72050, in the same box, you're going to see an x-ray yes. All you do is select both of those, put it in, and it's done. So there's nothing extra because you still need to record these things. Discontinuation is just like recording a CPT code. There's no CPT code for discontinuing, but you go to the transaction box if someone discontinues and hit the button. So what we're doing is we're taking all the things that the offices are trying to track manually, and we're saying, okay, I get it. Let's put it all in one place. So that means any event that happens in your practice, you want to track, and it has a code or a tracking code to put in the ledger. All right. Now, marketing tracking codes. These happen one time, and they happen when someone puts a new practice member in. So when someone calls and schedules and they put a new practice member in, or if you had an event and you're entering new practice members, you're going to select the appropriate tracking code so that the system knows exactly where they came from. Now, this is something that you should already be tracking. What we've done is rolled it into here so you can track it in one place. You put things in one place, so you don't have to train the team member to say, okay, well, you enter it into Platinum, and then after you enter into Platinum, go to the secondary source, and now write that person's name down and where they came from so we can know whether screening events are being effective for us, whether the dinner is effective, whether we're getting referrals from this particular source. So what we're doing there is making our training process a lot harder because we're having to point them to multiple different systems in order to enter the information so that we can visualize it. So by entering it all in one place, it streamlines the process, makes training easier, and then puts more information in front of you, the owner or the doctor or the office manager. Now, follow-up tracking codes. I'll tell you how we use these. These are so we can retarget. Marketing says that 7 to 10 touches is necessary for someone that didn't make a decision the first time to make the next decision. So a lot of us are maybe getting 2 to 3 touches after they say no. Well, with these follow-up tracking codes, we still enter all of our no's that come from events into Platinum, and then we assign a tracking code based upon what they've told us they're having from their health survey. Now what that allows us to do is separate that information, or iScout will separate that information for you, so you can run retargeting campaigns specific to these systems. So once again, this is a tracking code you put in one time. If there are no, and then the system will automatically categorize those people so you can run campaigns based upon those individual symptoms that you know that they're experiencing. All right, so this demystifies office tracking codes, helps you understand that it's not really more work, it's less work, especially for the things that we need to be tracking as an office anyway, so that we can make informed decisions. So ultimately, we can serve more people, we can actually be profitable, and then we have more time to spend with our family and our loved ones as well. And despite all of our different objectives with regard to what we want to accomplish in office, those are 3 things that range true with every doc that I talk to. We all want to be profitable. We all want to serve more people because we understand how valuable chiropractic is. But most of us also have family or want a family in the future, and we want time to be able to spend with them. So once again, this is Dr. Drew with iScout. If you all have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can always go to the website, and under the live demo section, you can schedule a live demo, or you can schedule a support call there if you have questions. And if you're already a user in your back office, there is a chat window that you can send any messages to us and ask us any questions that you have moving forward. Hope you all have a great day, and we will talk to you again soon.